Hi, this is a quick video to show how I color a background. We did a Christmas shoot, and with this Christmas shoot we had a couple of models posing on a black background which has a little bit of a sheen or a little bit of a texture to it. And so what I wanted people to see is how I go about coloring this stuff. So I'll just take one of these photos and I'll just use the new background selection tool, and I will select that background right here. Wait. And okay, so it's selected the background, and it's actually applied a little tint here that I've already had. Let me just reset it. Boom. Okay, so we can see the background is set. If I see there's too much there and I want to subtract something, I can say, hey, wait a minute, there's stuff here that I want to eliminate. It's not part of the background. I can just eliminate and clean up the background a little bit if the selection wasn't perfect. But it's good enough for our purposes. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about it. So there's my background. What I want to do is give it a little bit of texture, and so that gives the background a little bit more sheen, a little more pop. I'm maybe going to make the blacks a little bit blacker, maybe the whites a little bit whiter, and kind of just play with that a little bit. Now the next thing I wanted to do is give the whole thing a color. So open this up here and say, hey, make the background red. And there's kind of my red background. If I want to change it a little bit, I can use this fine adjustment tool and give it a little bit more of a hue, a little darker red, deeper red. So I'm just, whoops, I'll remove the fine. So you can see it adjusting, making sure that that overall mask, there we go, is being adjusted a little bit. And so I will just play with that. So that's pretty good. And then let's put the crop tool on, bring this down. I want to include this or include her leg or not, I'm not sure. Anyways, so there's that. I'm going to bring the whole thing a little bit brighter and reduce the textures, just soften her skin a little bit, so which is reducing the texture on the background as well. So I might want to bump that up a little bit more. So I can open up the background one more time and bump up the texture a little bit more because I've removed some of it on the overall picture. And that's kind of a quick look at that one. Let's go over here and try this one over here. So I'm missing a bit of the background here. I'm not going to fuss with that in Lightroom, so I'm going to take that into Photoshop, edit in Photoshop, and wait for that to pop up. Voila. So I'll replicate it because I always keep my original. I will select all of this over here, and I'll hit the shift key, and there's a little bit missing over here as well, but I'll probably crop that anyways. Okay, so I'll say edit, content aware fill. It brings up the picture, and it's going to use, it looks like I'm looking at the right here, and it looks pretty good, but if I want to, I can also just paint away this gift in her hand, because I don't want that to be used for figuring out the selection or what to fill those gaps in. I don't want this present used either. All right, so I just want the black texture to fill in, and that's what it did. So I will say OK, and there's my overall. Control D to deselect everything. So my picture looks pretty good. So now I'm going to do Control E to merge those two layers together. Now I have one layer with everything together. I will convert this to a smart object because that way I can change things. And now I will then open my camera raw filter. I could go back to Lightroom at this point in time and finish this in Lightroom, but just to show how you do it in camera raw filter, same concept. I will bring this up, open up my background, and as soon as it has my background, okay, my background's selected. It's picked up a little bit more than I want, like the gift and stuff like that, so I can maybe subtract some of that. Let's subtract an object. Ooh, doom. And let's subtract this object. Wait. Okay, I don't know if it did a good job in selecting the object, subtracting the object. what it's doing. Hang on a second. Hang on. Let's cancel this. Cancel changes, dismiss camera raw. Yes. Okay, let's try this again. Filter, camera raw. Okay, I find Lightroom easier to use than this camera raw, although they're supposed to be the same thing, right? Select background. Okay, it's selected everything. Now I want to subtract. Let's subtract by brush, just make our life easier. Subtract. Make the brush bigger. What's this? Flow has got to be a little higher. There we go. There, I'm just subtracting this stuff over here. Okay, I don't know why it didn't subtract the other stuff earlier, but it'll just do that. And it's just for an illustration anyways. Okay, so I've selected the background pretty much. Now I'm going to do what I did earlier. I'm going to give it a little bit more texture. Maybe bring up the whites, bring down the blacks, and then turn around and give the thing an overall color. Point color. Hang on, where's the, oh, there's the color I want. Too many different colors in here. All right, so let's go over here, and yeah, that looks pretty vivid. Maybe that green is too vivid, so I can just bring down the saturation a little bit. And that looks pretty good. I'll say OK. And that looks pretty good. And I will then flip back to Lightroom. Save. And I usually crop in Lightroom because if I want different crops, an 8x10, a 5x7, etc., then I don't have to come back to Photoshop to do each of my crops. And wait for it to come back. I'm noticing there's a little something here that I probably should have corrected. There's, I don't know, a red hat or something like that next to the gift. Let's go back to Lightroom here. Whoops. Come on. And let's just cue. And yeah, it's some sort of a I'm just going to move this over here, just get rid of that. And again, I'm doing this really, really fast, but it gives us an idea. And yeah, it probably needs a little bit more cleanup, but I think it's good enough for our purposes. I'll delete that. Boom, boom, boom. I want that. Slash key, get this thing back here. And he's not healing well. Let's try pure clone. Yeah, clone maybe is a little bit better. Clone. Come on. Digs. Clone. Oh, I see what's happening is I didn't fill it all in. When I painted, you see there's a large feather amount, and so sometimes the feather stayed. So I'm going back and forth and making sure that I could remove the feather amount. Okay, that's good enough for now. All right, and the whole thing, maybe I could just reduce the exposure on the whole thing a little bit, increase the contrast, you know, warm the whole thing up, give her a little bit of a tint. And here I can crop. I hit the letter R just to crop, being here. Boom. Maybe even put a whole little bit of vignette on the whole thing, or on the edges. And there we go. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to